guys, my name is Lindsay Obath and I'm a visual artist. Today I'm going to walk you through my masterclass on specifically body painting. For those of you who are being introduced to me for the first time, I'd like to walk you through a bit of what I do and what specifically we're here for today. So I have been a visual artist based in Nairobi for the last, I'd say probably just under a decade. And my strengths and talents stretch across several disciplines within the creative industry, from visual art to mural art to body painting to set design, to production for events, etc., etc. I don't think there's a space I haven't at least tried out every once in a while. Over the last, I'd say from about 2015 to present, so about the last 5 to 6 years, I've been known more popularly as This, which is actually my artist name, which is short for my third name, which is Adiambo. So if you never knew what This meant, and this is you looking into my masterclass, that's actually where the name comes from. And I have been at this, like I said, for 6 years, and it's been an amazing journey. I think what's great about the space that I have explored in this specific medium is that it's a niche. And my experience over the last 6 years has been very interesting, to say the least. So let me take you back about 6 years ago to where I started. There's a very popular festival within East Africa called Nyege Nyege. And I had gone there for at least the first edition, and I came back and I couldn't shut up about it. The next year, a lot of Kenyans wanted to find their way to the festival as well. So what happened was I ended up being at the heart of the festival and becoming everyone's reference point. And because I'd gone there as a visual artist and as an attendee to paint and explore and just unlock my creative juices, everyone was looking for me, and I felt like, okay, I want to spend half of my time here taking care of everyone and not enjoying. And you know, Kenyans and enjoyment, we are just here together. So what I did to identify myself in a crowd so I can put my phone away was actually paint on myself. And I wasn't even doing it with the intention of standing out. It's just what happened naturally, because I felt like me painting myself would get into the vibe of the festival. And slowly by slowly, every day of the festival continuing, the camp that was around us would come to my tent in the morning and ask me to paint them. I didn't know, though, that one of the people in the tent next to me was one of the founders of a very popular events company called Kenya Nights. And she invited me to her event the month after the festival and said, "What you're doing is great. I think it would work well in the space that I create. So if you don't mind, just come. You can charge whatever you need to charge. Do what you must and create an experience." I went there the October later, because Nyege Nyege happens on September every year. And from that October, for the last 6 years, that's kind of been my career as a body artist. So it started off honestly as a very honest, cheeky thing that I was doing, and now it's escalated into where I am today. Being in any niche market or industry comes with a very interesting story. I think across all disciplines, as long as you're within a niche craft, there'll always be an interesting story from how you started to how you got where you are within the time that people would consider you established. Personally, I don't consider myself established. Some would disagree, but I think there are perks that come with being the first. So once I finished up my little stint at Nyege Nyege, I was able to book gigs almost instantly. And a lot of the time I used to get a lot of questions like, are you serious about this thing? Is it just for fun? And to be honest, at that time, I didn't know what I actually wanted out of it, but it was a way for me to have fun and to make money. Because I mean, you're within a space where your creative juices are flowing. There's a DJ, there's music. Everyone seems happy to be where they are, which just creates a great environment for you to want to work when everyone is there for a good time. As the years went by, I had to ask myself what it is I was actually doing. I think the dilemma one faces as, especially someone who's starting off as an individual, you are your own everything. You know, you have to put yourself in different positions where you can be recognized and create a name for yourself. Luckily, I was able to find a home, which was at the time a very popular bar in Nairobi. So I think where you place yourself and your placements are paramount, because that allows for you to establish a name and to have a home. So people associate you with the space. And I think for the longest time, because I was working within the same space, a lot of people thought I was actually part of the staff. But of course I had to correct people that I was only there when there was a good time happening, which is also the time that they were there as well. So it created a bit of a relationship and an association, for lack of a better word. Because once people can associate you with a certain venue, with a certain environment, and with a certain idea, that's how you're actually able to build a brand. And that's how I was able to get to where I am today. Being in this industry also has created some very interesting challenges. You know, working in a niche market, a lot of companies, a lot of clients actually don't take you seriously, especially if you're the first one to do it. A lot of people will try and undercut you. A lot of people will try and negotiate with you, yet you know your worth, especially after a couple of years. And I went from charging roughly around 50 shillings, not knowing what the hell I was doing. And now my rate card is, I can say I'm impressed. I'm impressed. If you want to find out more, I'll leave the details at the end. The industry as it is today, there's body painters everywhere. It's so popular where it's reached a point where I've gone to certain events and there's body painters actually doing my designs while I'm there working as well. So, you know, they say the best flattery for an artist is when someone imitates your work. It's great until there's money involved. But, you know, there's room for everyone and for all of us to eat at the table. Right now, body art is definitely something makeup artists are getting into. It's something that I specifically have seen grow over the years. And it's definitely a niche market and a niche craft that luckily also has a lot of room for improvement. The sky is the limit. And I think the more we can allow for people to create and collaborate within those spaces, then the sky is not only the limit, it's actually not the limit, it's just the view. So I am excited for where the industry is going to go. But in today's masterclass, I'm going to explain to you my process, how I get from an idea to trying out different techniques and seeing what techniques would work best for the execution of an idea, and how to make sure that you capture that idea to a point where you can market yourself. You can be able to now add for collaborations and see how you work with different things, lighting, bone structure, all of that. I'm going to walk you through my whole process and then see, you know, how best do we keep this industry going. So that's what we're about to get into next. Before I take you through any of my processes, I think it's best that I show you what I use and the tools that I use, because a lot of the time I do get some questions about what it is that I actually use. From DMs to emails, everyone's asking, okay, so how do you get this? How do you get this? Well, funny story, even before we get into what's inside, this bag has been with me throughout my whole career as a body artist. It's actually my mom's old makeup bag from the 80s. She was about to throw it and I liked it and I kept it for decades. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, but here we are. So it came in handy. So I'm going to walk you through some of my products and let's get in. So as you can see, there's a lot of paint everywhere. It adds character to the bag. So of course here you have your brushes. They're very essential. You have your thin brushes, like these ones. They're thin brushes. We use them for details. You have your fan brush that we use for spreading paint widely. You have your angle brushes that you use for creating lines and adding dimensions and to put on thick amounts of color. And the rest of the brushes range between those three, right? So because body paints are not popular within Kenya, everyone's always looking for a substitute. A good substitute to use is any acrylic paints that you have. Of course, please make sure that they are extremely water-based because they act like glue. If you ever remember being a kid and putting glue on your hands and peeling it off, that's what acrylic paints do. The next product is probably my most essential, and these are actually body paints. They're hard to get within the country because no one actually stocks them. You'd have to actually buy them online. And they're quite affordable. The ones that I use range from about 10 to 30 euros for a pack. So you can easily source them. It's best to send someone who you know is traveling. But I'm sure there's other shipping companies that can get them to you efficiently as well. It's just that's pretty much the only thing that I ever order online. So it doesn't make sense for me to pay that much money. Yet I have friends who are in and out of the country that can actually get that done for me. The next thing that is essential is a jar. You need to clean your brushes, you need to mix your paints, so you need a sauce that can host your water that will help you with your mixing process. Another thing that's very essential are some wipes. Your wipes help you to clean up. They also help you with cleaning your brushes as well temporarily if you don't want to get them too wet. If your water might be a bit dirty and you're limited to how often you can be changing your water. Another thing that's in my bag of goodies are my dusts. So these actually help me to highlight the skin depending on the outcome. I use the silver for more fairer skin and the copper for more chocolatey tones. Next up, we have a new addition that I added to my arsenal, which are golden flakes, silver flakes. So these are actually, it's gold leaf and silver leaf, and this is glitter. Glitter because festivals and ladies and everyone who likes to have a good time, that's pretty much what you'd use. Another thing about the gold flakes and the silver flakes, they're very, very delicate. So the last thing you want to do is rip through them and use too much of it on one client or one person or one project. They're inexpensive. You can get them within beauty stores in Nairobi. And yeah, they're very accessible and affordable. Another very essential thing that you must have is a little pocket-sized mirror that the person you're painting with gets to see what you're working on. Everyone gets to have a reference between what was discussed and what's there. In studios, there's big mirrors there, but at events and festivals, that's kind of something that you need to make sure you have in your arsenal as well. Because what's here is just a brief summary of what's in here. Of course, I'm not going to show you all the colors that I have. They range from the whole rainbow spectrum to your metallics, etc., etc. And I think that's pretty much what's inside my little bag of tools. So what I'm going to show you next is the different techniques that I use on my muses, as well as my thought process with how I go from my ideas to the actual muse and how that photographs, etc., etc.